Hello, everyone. I just wanted to give everybody the heads up that we're going to be about 3 more minutes until we get started here. If you have any issues in seeing the screen or hearing me, if you can't hear me, I don't know if you'll be able to chat, but post that you're able to see and hear us into the chat feature, and that way we know that everything is working for you. And like I said, we'll start this in about 3 minutes. Thanks. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for attending today's webinar. Today, we're going to look at Church360 Unite, and we want to thank you so much for coming out and being a part of this with us today. My name is Ken Olemeyer, and I am one of the senior marketing managers here at Concordia Publishing House. I have my contact information there listed if there's anything that I can do to help you as you go through this today. But leading the webinar today, and I'm very excited to introduce you to Rob Davidson. And Rob is relatively new with us here at CPH. He is our marketing manager of digital products. And Rob has an extensive background in digital storytelling. And he's going to be leading the conversation today on how to use Unite, not only to keep track of your events and your attendance in items, but also just how to use Unite as a website to help tell the story of your congregation. Now, Rob's contact information is there as well. So if there's ever any time you need to get a hold of us, you have both of our contact information there. Let me just give a few housekeeping things as we talk about today's webinar. We're going to do about 50 minutes for the whole webinar. We might be a little bit less than that today. We might go a little bit longer, but don't anticipate that. But within those 50 minutes, we're going to have about 10 minutes for some questions and answers, or just some general discussions on some things we want to maybe follow up on. But by all means, please keep asking questions the whole time. There is a questions area in your chat side or on the side panel of your GoToWebinar. There's also a chat feature too. So if you'd like to chat and send a question to us, We'd love to have your feedback on things. And if for some reason you had to step away today, or you're seeing this at a later time, the recording, today's presentation will be recorded, and that recording will be shared with you, and then you can share that with other members on your team. And in fact, we'll talk a little bit about this as we go through, but Concordia Technology Solutions has an extensive series of webinars and videos on our website. So there's a lot of things that you can take a look at if you have further questions. So let me just introduce you to Concordia Technology Solutions if you're not familiar with us. We are the church administrative division of Concordia Publishing House. And the team at Concordia Technology Solutions has been developing software for churches since 1984. And that's all that we do, is work with churches to help develop software that you can use to help save you time in your ministry, to help tell your church's story, to help connect with people in your congregation, and to help with your church finances. So Church360 Unite, which is what we're going to be talking today, is our website of it. But Church360 Unite is just part of the Church360 suite of products. And that also includes Church360 Members, which is a church management software, and Church360 Ledger. So throughout the course of the year, we do a number of these type of overview webinars. So be looking for emails if there's anything you'd like to learn about those other two components. So Church360 Unite, as I said, is our church website builder. And what does that really mean? Well, it has the website itself. You can also include blogs in this website. It can become a member hub for your members to interact with each others. You can do file sharing within Church360 Unite. It also has a very active calendar that will sync with your Church360 members calendar. And you can also do mass emails out of your Church360 Unite site. And what I love about it is everything is intertwined. And many of us have developed websites over the years with other software or other things like that. And I have found very few pieces of software that allow you to do so many different things so easily and so quickly than Church360 Unite. All the themes we're going to show you are mobile accessible, and that is so important these days, as everything we do is on our phone. But everything is mobile accessible, and Rob will go through that with you a little bit. It also syncs with your church management software, as I said, whether you're using Church360 Members or you're using Shepherd Staff. It can sync that information, and that is just very invaluable for you. You can also have a custom domain, and emails are available. So if you have your own church's domain, we can bring that in, and that would be your Church360 Unite website. And this is a big thing. Support and training are included with everything that we do with Church360, the whole suite of packages, and they're here in the United States. So the support team and the people who would be helping you are here in St. Louis at Concordia Publishing House, and you can contact us at any time. Rob will show you how to get a hold of our support team as well. Plus, we'll have some email addresses for you at the end of this to help. So I'm going to make a couple assumptions here before we get started. One is that you're familiar with church websites. And I think all of us are familiar at some level or another with church websites. We all see what everybody is doing. But you may be new to Church360 Unite. So today's webinar is a very broad overview where we'll key on a couple key topics, but it's going to be an overview for you. If you have further questions, we're here to help. And we know you're extremely busy. So taking the hour or so out of your day, we really do appreciate, whether you're watching us live right now or you're watching this recorded later. So we'll try to make this go pretty fast for you. And one thing, that tells a little bit about Concordia Technology Solutions, but tell us a little bit about yourself. In the chat feature, just type in where you're from, what types of things that you do at your church, so that we can get a little bit better feel for the people that are on the call today. And I'll just take a couple minutes out right now just to wait for that. So just go ahead and type some things in there, and we'll get a better sense of who's on the call, and then that can help us tailor the messaging to you today. So take a minute to do that for us, and we'll just kind of wait. Okay, I'm seeing a few come in right now. We've got Pastor Swanson's back with us today. So Pastor, good to see you again. Pastor was on our Church 360 members call yesterday, so it's good to see you. I think we might have some administrative people as well. Okay. And it's interesting because so many different people get involved with a church website. So that's what our conversation today is going to be about as well, is how anybody can get involved with your church website, your 360 Unite website. Oh, we've got a financial secretary as well. So Susan, thank you for joining us as well. Others, as you get a chance, type in, let us know where you're from, but let me keep going here for you. Outline for today's presentation is going to be just an overview of the tools that are here at Church 360 Unite, as well as showing a few practical examples. Again, what's so great about this software and any of the Church 360 software suite is it can be tailored to your specific needs. So we'll give you the building blocks, not the blueprint. So you can try to do things that you need, and Rob will be able to show some of those as well. And then we'll take some time for some questions and answers. And again, if you have some questions as we go along, by all means, please just put those into the chat or in the question area, and we'll be able to address those. So just a basic introduction today. We're going to look at some themes and styles. We're going to look at the pages and the feeds, how those are added and taken care of. Take a look at the calendar and the events. That's one of the things we'll feature today, is the calendar and how easy it is to add events to your website, and so that your members know when things are coming up. And then looking at the user and the member only tools. One of the great features in Church 360 Unite is being able to have specific groups and being able to assign roles to users so that your members can get into the website and add the material that they need. And then we'll take a look at directory, the groups, and the mailing lists as well. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to switch it over to Rob, introduce you to Rob Davidson one more time. Rob, if you want to join us, there he is. I'm going to switch my monitor over to you now, Rob. Let you become the presenter. How about that?
That's a very delicate transition there.
It is a delicate transition. Hold on. All right, I'm going to verify presenter change. I'm changing it to you. Rob will get you started, and then I'm going to jump out of here. Again, if you have questions as we go along today, please put them in the chat feature, and we'll be able to address those as we move along. So, Rob, it's all you right now.
Perfect. Ken, can you see my screen for Unite?
I do see it. It looks great.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for having us today. As Ken mentioned, my name is Rob Davidson. I'm the marketing manager of digital products at CPH. I'm getting comfortable with all the incredible CTS products, and now I'm jumping into the webinar series this week. We did the Church 360 members webinar yesterday. Tomorrow will be Ledger. We'll end everything Thursday with Lutheran Service Builder. So, little context, my role, I'm taking over for Peter Frank. If you've seen him before, he for over 10 years championed CTS in this role. And now he is in vicarage, a little bit of a second career pastor. And so now they've asked me to step in. So for context, I do three things here at CTS. I work with our product development team. They're incredibly intelligent. Many of them are pastors. We're one of the only church management softwares that are made by the church workers for church workers, which we believe gives us a pretty significant edge on the competition when it comes to creating something that really serves your needs. Our head developer, Pastor Cobbs, actively uses this in his ministry every day. And so, that kind of gives us a little bit of insight of how we can make things better. Of course, if you see anything throughout this, please let us know either in the chat or via email. How could we tailor this software to be even more valuable to you and your church ministry? I also work with our national sales team, Dave and Steven, whom some of you may know. They're a great group of guys, and our process is different from traditional sales roles. They're actually what we consider software consultants. So they're less concerned about selling you anything and more of understanding the needs of your church and unique environment of your ministry, and then recommending the best product and approach for you. So they'll work through things with you, give you one-on-one demos, and everything you and the other decision makers need in order to fully understand and make an informed decision, because this is a big deal. Being able to extend your ministry online, your church website is the first step to that will then connect to things like social media, email, etc. And so you need to be informed about what the best solution there is for you. And we are very confident that Unite is that solution. I also work in our marketing for CTS products. Something, if you were in the members webinar yesterday, you heard that we're teasing out the CTS Academy. It's a series of videos. We're starting with Church360 members, where we break up what we're doing in these webinars, and we actually create a step-by-step process of getting onboarded to our products. We're going to start with members, and next year we're going to move into Unite, Ledger, and other features that are soon to be coming out for Church360. So a little bit of background about me. I used to run my own marketing agency before coming into Concordia. I built websites for a myriad of different clients, both at industrial enterprise level and then for small mom and pop shops, very different scales. So I'm probably one of the best ones to tell you now more than ever, it is so important to be able to connect your congregation in an easy and seamless way online, because as we'll talk about further in this webinar, the web is the number one place where people can find you easily and get connected to the value that you bring them. And so we're going to walk through on how to do that for your church today. So today's webinar is entitled Church360 Unite is the only website option that helps you keep track of church attendance, but it can also help you do so much more than that. It's all about finding easy ways to share the stories of your church and make it an engaging place to be. Obviously, making people feel welcome, not just when they're in the pew, but as they're connected both relationally and digitally to your church, can be so important when it comes to motivating an engaged church audience. It's all about connection. Today we're going to talk about how easy it is to make your website a communications hub using Church360 Unite to help connect you to your congregation better. We'll show you how to build a professionally looking and fully functioning mobile responsive website without needing to know how to code or do much more than just adding texts and pictures to your site. All you need to do is update the information. It's so easy. I've worked with plenty of web editors in my time, from WordPress to Shopify, and I will tell you this Unite makes it so easy, and it has a number of functions that are specifically tailored to the needs of the church. So what do we mean by communication hub? Well, think of how communications has changed during your time at the church. Ken included this. If you remember mimeographed bulletins, I sure don't. What about your local Yellow Pages ad? Changing the letters in your sign out in front of your church. For a long time, those were the only ways for you to get your church and what you do out in front of people in your local community. Now, as we all know, the world has changed, not only because we're just coming out of a pandemic where being digital became so much more important to be in touch with people who might be quarantined in their homes, but also even going further, that we can impact more people as a church if we are utilizing online responsibly. In my job, I see a lot of inner workings of churches, from our support team having one-on-one conversations to our software consultants to what I'm seeing people talk about online when I'm in social media talking to church communicators. I talk with pastors, administrators, youth leaders, and teachers, people just like you with different roles, responsibilities in their church, all dedicated to the same mission of growing the church to all four corners of the earth. So how do we find them? How do we find these people that are active in the ministry? Well, we can use the LCMS roster and pay attention to the annual updates, but it's so much easier. Instead of getting into a specific connection that the LCMS has, most people won't know to look there, especially if they're new to the LCMS and Christianity as a whole. So going to Google is so much easier for most people to get connected to your church. So that's how your visitors will most likely try to get connected to you and learn about when worship services are, who are the important people in your church, and what else that your church does that may be of value to these new visitors. So websites, as we'll talk more about themes and the content on it, it reflects your church's soul. A church website can tell a lot about the personality, vitality, and activity of your church. I love seeing websites that are as vibrant as the congregations inside the church building. It almost feels like you have digital stained glass windows with some of these themes that really take and push the personality and warmth that so many of our LCMS churches have. With Members Unite, you have the opportunity to build a site like that. So today we're going to take a 30,000-foot view of the program and show how easy it is to make your website this type of communication hub in this overview today, to share your church's story and inform your community of future services. What are we going to talk about? Well, we're not going to be able to cover everything in our time. Again, our team, our developers that code this software product for all of us, they're so talented, and there's so many things that go into Unite that I cannot begin to scratch the surface. But we're going to focus on some key elements that are really going to help you understand how this can move the needle for you in your church. We'll go through how to set up a basic site, themes, graphics, and concentrate how to share your stories. We're going to cover a lot of ground. Our recommendation is try to jump in with Church360 Unite yourself. If you go to our website, concordiatechnologysolutions.org, you'll see examples of how your church can be seen on the web, and it'll be super easy from there to start a free trial, no credit card required, so that you can start playing with this and see how your church could fully utilize this tool for your ministry. No commitment or obligation. Our software consultants are going to be available to you, as well as our support teams, to answer any questions during that full 30 days. Don't feel like you have to pay us in order to ask them questions. We're entirely built for you making an informed decision about how to grow the capabilities of your church. And if you feel like there's a better solution out there, we encourage you to take it. But like I've said before, we are very confident that Unite does so much to be a unique solution for church workers everywhere. And once you'll sign up, I'm sure you'll see the same thing. All right, so let's get started. So if you see here, stop looking at my face and my screen that I'm sharing here, you'll see this is our home page. So we've created, us and the support team, a sample site that will kind of be our place to play around to learn more about everything that Unite can do. So let's see here what I have in my notes. We're calling it Christ Community Church. As you see, we have the church logo here at the top. You can see my mouse circling that there. And you can see we have a core navigation across here. But now that you can see that I'm logged in. And so you'll notice two things. One, we have this little edit page tab on the left side. That will allow you to edit the content in whatever page we're in. So if we click that real quick, we can see that we can start to see on the home page different layouts of how to change the content on the page. We'll get more into this later, but I wanted to get you a little bit of a taste of everything we'll be talking about. So let's go ahead and close this, and then we go to the top. So as that closes, you see we have this top, HUD bar, this navigation here at the top. We have pages, posts, activity, user, themes, and settings. And we'll be going through all of this today to give you the feel of kind of those core areas that you'll be spending most of your time in when utilizing this software. By now, we're all used to seeing websites. What are the things that typically grab your attention when you first come to a site? Whether that's Facebook or another church's website, do you see big pictures? Are you seeing news and updates about the organization? Directions, how to get there, staff photos, the team. What info is most needed for visitors? Now, thinking about how to create one for a church, right? When people are evaluating a church, what are the things that they're thinking of? If they've become a member, how are they trying to be involved with your church? These are all things that can be easily added into the Church360 Unite ecosystem. We can also add and remove tabs easily. This core navigation that you see next to this home, calendar, I'm new, about us, connect, etc., to keep your site organized. So each of these represent a drop-down menu where you have pages of additional value and information built throughout the site. As a communication tool, you'll want to determine what your site will look like, and thinking about what would be the way to group the information that's valuable to the different people viewing our site will be a really important step to get yourself along the right direction when building a website. So let's start with themes. Now I'm going to click up here to the tab in our editor suite, and you'll see that we have a lot of themes that just populate our choices right here. They're all straight in the box. Again, no coding required. You don't need to know HTML to change the looks of these sites. And they're highly customizable, again, without knowing any coding knowledge. These are all free for you to use in your subscription, which is very much unlike other website options, both within church management softwares and secular options in the market. More often than not, I know for Shopify, you have to pay up to $300 for a theme. And we don't, that is not what happens with the Unite environment. All of our themes are free as a way to help you really reflect that warmth and personality that I'm sure your church has. A couple of cautions on that. You want to select a theme that really reflects your church's culture. So that's such an emotionally charged question. So I would encourage you, do you already have a developed brand for your church? Or is that something that you're going to need to think of when we bring our church online, how are we going to show that? Are we using bright colors, or are we more of a confessional church that's connected to old liturgical symbols? All of that is something to think about when choosing your theme, and we have plenty of options no matter where within church vibes you exist. Ken has a fun note here. Think of the theme as the window dressing or decorations in your house. So when you go through and you're decorating your house, whether or not you're setting up a nativity during Christmas time, or you're choosing, different curtains for your house, etc. All of this it's not going to be out of the box. It's something that you have a connection with and are proud to present toward people that you're welcoming into your home. And they tell a little tiny story about you and the things you like. The website that you built for your church is no different from that. So themes give you a lot of options. As you're starting to see, you want to choose something that is a positive reflection of your church and is welcoming and engaging. Themes give you a lot of options. However, we recommend not changing this up a lot. There's different schools of thought here. We recommend consistency in order to make people feel secure that they've come to the right place. You can always trade consistency out, though, for changing up the look of your website based on what time of year it is. So if you want to change it to Christmas reds and greens, you have the capability to do that. But ultimately, we do recommend consistency because it helps creating a seamless user experience. As you browse themes, you'll notice that most themes include a number of preset options. You notice too at the top, at the bottom, a brief description of the theme and recommended pixel size of the images you can upload. So if we click here right now, we've selected the demo one. So you can see underneath the ribbon theme supports a custom banner, right, by these dimensions. It gives a lot of control over typeface and colors. So that's just one, and a lot of these all have their own descriptions to give you a feel, but you're also able to go and see what these other options are by just clicking and playing around with that. You can always clone your site and create different variations with it if you feel like that's the best way to get a feel, or you can always just apply the theme and then come back to themes and change it if you don't like how it looks. But we're going to stay with our demo theme. I don't want to change up anything too crazy. I want to keep things simple and get to the rest of this information. And again, important note, again, no coding when it comes to these themes. It's super easy. no matter what level of familiarity you have with building a website. Obviously, someone like me who's built these for clients, I know my ways around how to build a website, but I've also worked with people that have never done this before, and they pick it up so quickly. And so we find that very encouraging because we don't want to create any more additional work to our extremely busy church workers that are out there in the field sharing God's word. So as we browse other options, the style section is the blueprint of your site. Here you can select how your fonts are going to look and translate to the web page. So we're going to go here to the style section. So you can see here throughout the site, you're going to have these different content blocks. And how those content blocks look is going to be based on the styles that you have here. Fun fact, heading 1 is what is listed in Google searches for search engine optimization. Now that's a big word in marketer land, but ultimately that means is when people Google any specific term within Google, what then populates in the results. The header of those results is determined by that H1 heading 1 font, what you have in that content block. Good rule of thumb, keep your font choices simple. We recommend one font for most headings, maybe switching that up a bit between heading 1 and then smaller heading sizes. Definitely one for all of your body content, and maybe an extra one if you really need something to create a distinction for important messaging. Ultimately, we're not going to spend too much time here today, but to give you a little bit of an additional insights on what would be the best way to kind of build a professionally looking site, feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer any questions. But just to give you a little bit of extra, insight to what that process to be and how to make those decisions when you're going into the design suite. You have options for both different block styles and inline styles, as you see here. If you can click in and customize the options even more. So let's go ahead and do that, and then you can see that we can then have different choices for what that'll look like. So then let's move forward. Oh, and remember, if you make any changes to save or save as down here at the bottom so you don't lose your work. So you can change that even further by customizing your site's colors. So if we see here, let's look at this background color. I believe this is what we call the stripe. And let's go ahead and change that. Yep, and you see behind it, we are now going to be a little bit more blue to match our logo. So let's go ahead and save the change there. And so now you can see the background of our site is a little bit of a different color, a little bit more brighter and welcoming. And that's just one quick, easy thing that we can do. Let's see, we also have these section colors. Let's match that as well, as close as we can. And let's save, and then, there's the change, I think, right there. I'm trying to get those blocks. Again, I am not as familiar as I am new here. I started in April 4th, so I'm still learning. We have some incredible products, so it takes a lot of time, and I am not getting that to change. So I can work with our support team. They know the product a lot more than I do. If you have any questions, we have this little eye dot here, this little circle where you can click, and it helps you either search any articles or send support a message directly, and they'll be with you as quick as we possibly can. We have a group of, I believe, 8 support staff that works in our building. They're all local to the St. Louis area. They're here around the clock to be able to help you and serve other church workers in the church with any questions that you have with our products. All right, so moving on, let's start adding some content. Let's take a look at the content on our website and see how easy it is. So let's look at a couple examples of that. I want to get out of how do I get out of here? Okay, here we go. So let's look at an example. So you can see this is an our staff section, and this is pre-populated, and then with kind of the base template of that information to make it really easy for you to do there at home or in the church office. But then we've created kind of a template of a fictional church environment of what this could potentially look like for you. So we have the pictures of the different worship leaders, the pastor, and different office administrators, and a little blurb about them and their contact, and maybe getting in touch with them or the church through social media. Super, super neat here. Let's go ahead and make our own page. I had an example here. Oh, so before I jump into that, let's talk about pages. So I jumped over here to the pages section. That is going to be kind of what we call in website building land as your sitemap. This is how you control what pages and how are shown on your site. So you can see here that these are, when we go back to that home page, we had that bar from home all the way across, listing out different groupings and categories of pages. You'll see that's listed here in a different way. I'm New then has worship times, announcements, newsletter, music, contact us, mission and vision. Important information that someone that's new or a visitor could find useful to understanding more about your church. We have an About Us section that talks about more about who the church is, what to expect, what they believe. This could be a statement of the unique position of the LCMS church and how your church abides with that. And then Connect section, look at this, we have members and relevant news and announcements, and even a group section, which I'll do a little sneak peek, we'll talk about this later. All of these are unique groups that have their ability to interconnect and talk to each other, people who are involved in those groups, and discuss in a forum important happenings and decisions that are being made in your ministry. Again, back up to pages. I have some notes here that I'm trying to keep track of. I didn't make it as big as I needed to. That is my fault. So overall, I want to make sure that you understand you don't have to go crazy in the beginning with adding tons and tons of pages. But the big piece here is to understand that with more pages, more content, you can add more value and aid in how someone understands your church and ministry as both a returning member or as a new visitor. So you can see here that this is split up between active menu items and available menu items. So active menu items are things that are currently existing within your website's navigation, and available menu items are pages that have been built potentially, but are not yet published into the main site environment. So these two designations, this will be working here for a little bit. So let's move on to the next page of notes. So let's add a page. So up here you can see we have an add category and add page. So let's add a page, and you can see that we have a list of presets here. So I'm going to go ahead and pick one that I think would be, let's do an Our Story one. We might already have something like that, but this will be a good start to show you how to use Unite. So we're going to keep Our Story. We're going to enter. All right, so now we have that here. So now if we click to that, we can see what pre-populates automatically. And so now if we want to edit this page, we can then click in here. Ooh, wrong button. And how do I do this? Well, Ken will have to help you out with this. Oh, there we go. So we click the little writing tool up here in the corner. See, I don't know what I'm doing, and I figured it out in a second. That's how easy this software is. So now I can click into this environment and maybe start answering these questions. So how did your church begin? We began in 1971, why not? As our church started from independent Bible studies based on community need. You can see that tells you I'm typically terrible with spelling, and so we got there. And let's actually correct my miscapitalization here. And then you can see it's super easy to just go in here, tweak this and then change it however I want. So what if I did here and then bring this to styles and then I change that to a heading? So now this operates underneath that. We'll make that a normal body piece, and then we'll add this in here. And you can start to see that after we click out of this environment, that our site's starting to take shape. So then I'm going to click that, and now we are ready to rock and roll. And I need to save the draft. That's what I did wrong. Great, there we go. So now we can see how easy it is to modify content on your page. Let's go back to pages. You can see that categories go straight to your navigation here. Let's look at the ministries, right? We'll spend some time in here in just a moment. There's a lot of options between a blank starting page, RS feeds, as you saw. We're going to work with groups here in a moment and other specific presets. Makes it very, very easy to you. All right, let's move through. All right, editing a page. So for time's sake, I'm going to go into a special tab. Let's go ahead and add a page. Let's create a page, worship times, and we're going to call this one, let's rename it, Special Worship Services. And hit enter. All right, so now we're going to move this over here. We're going to put this in the, let's put this at the top. So we're going to be able to go straight there from the home page. So I'm going to save changes. And I'm going to go over to our home page. You can see that now Special Worship Services has been added very easily to our home page navigation. So, all right. And if we click in, we can see this is what pre-populates, and we can always, like I showed you before, we can edit that. Service times, have a 9:30, 11, and here we go. Save that. Now let's jump back into pages. So groups is the next kind. So let me get rid of this so that's not an issue for when we're trying to do stuff in the future. So groups is the next thing. Now groups is truly unique. Again, from my expertise of building websites for other companies, I've never seen this kind of capability built right into the web builder editor function. So I cannot stress how neat this is. So you'd be able to make a group by clicking add a page, add group, and we're going to call this, we have a church choir. I can spell correctly. So we're going to take this and then we're going to go down to our ministry section and we're going to drop this in right here above church council. So let's go, and we're going to go to the home page just so you can see it. We're going to save changes, and we're going to publish just so that everything's live. And then we're going to go to the home. We're going to go over to ministries, and now we have church choir here down in our drop-down menu. We're going to click that, and you're going to see a blank group page. So we have a couple different things here. So one, this is our content section. So if I wanted to add, let's see, so I want to add this. I want to add a title, just some basic welcome to the church choir page. All right. Now the next thing I want to add is I'm going to click this gear. I'm going to hit edit cell type, and we're going to add a carousel for images. So when I go back and I have them on my computer desktop, I can pick some pictures of the church choir in action, maybe on Easter Sunday, singing, and use that to kind of create a great feeling of, hey, this is what we're all about within the church choir, to give context for people visiting this page. Another thing that we can do, let's look at another one, edit cell type. Let's go to feed, nope, calendar. Nope, calendar is not feed, I think is what I wanted to do. So then we're going to click this, And so I click that edit button, and we're going to use the news and announcements, and we're going to hit save, and then I'm going to save draft, and there we go. We can see, so this is just blank because I don't have a picture up, but then we see these news and announcements feeds populating automatically. So if you created a feed for your church choir, you'd be able to send out those on notifications and news to them automatically. So another thing I really love, super easy to create these different settings here so that people get notifications that are part of your group based on stuff that happens on the group page. Again, this is really unique to website development software. So you have different options here to send in the users an email when a member of the group posts a comment, send me an email only when a leader makes an announcement, or don't send me any notification for this group. Let's keep this where it is, because I would think in the church choir, everyone needs to know when the new times to sing in service are, and if there's any important updates in the group. We can edit this group by adding a summary, a little bit of a description of who we are and what we do. And we have some additional that we're not going to go into today, settings available as well, especially looking at who has access to this group. So if we want to make the basic page available to everyone, but discussion, we only want that available to group members, events to group members, and managing the members only to group leaders, right? And only the people that are invited can log into the page. So look at that, we have some additional functionality with the group. We can then change the members who are in this group and add a member is super easy by just selecting someone from the drop-down list. Now, that drop-down list pre-populates because it connects with our other church management software. So yesterday, if you were in our Church360 members, you'd be able to see we had this long list of all the 100+ people that are in our Christ Community Church fictional environment. So I worked a lot with the Henrys, and it looks like they're not loading. Well, we'll find them later. But you can see there's a whole selection here. I know Rod works here at CTS, so we're going to add him as a member, and we can see he pops up right here, and he's joining the church choir with me today. Another thing that you can do that's really neat is managing events. Now, this is where we get into what we can do as managing that attendance. Now, attendance is so critical in order to keep your church engaged, to understand who's coming, who's going. So starting with an event and sending that out is the best way to start and initiate that process. We're gonna title it choir rehearsal. Nice, promise I won't spell that right. Time and place, church balcony. We'll just leave this blank, but you can see we can change this if it's an all-day event, or if it repeats, we can then schedule this for, we'll do Saturday evenings. Apparently, we're doing this every single week. We have an additional description for the event. And invitations, we can invite people to the event, right? So I think right now I'm the only one that got saved into this group, but I'd be able to list out everyone that I want to invite based on who's a member in the group. So then reminders, we also can automate reminders how many days or hours before the event starts. Again, making sure that that attendance is brought into the event and people show up when they need to. So we'll go ahead and create that event real quick. And we can now see that we have this choir rehearsal, right? Everything that we just put up. And then I can mark that I'm going. There we are. So let's jump back at this church choir. Now, another thing that I love here is I mentioned before the ability to engage in groups with the other members of the groups. We have a discussion section. Now, we just made church choir, so you can see this is blank, but let's jump over to another one called digitized study so you can see what that looks like. Again, we've spent some time adding all the details to this group. There's members, there's some pictures, descriptions of what the digitized study is all about. And so then we can look into the discussion, and a number of little comments here pre-populate. If we click in, we can see the bigger discussion, a couple extra ones, and something that's been announced to the whole group. Again, this is a great way for your members to be able to talk to each other in a way that's all relevant to the group that they're all in within your church's ministry. Let's see, checking my notes in case I have anything else that I haven't missed. All right, moving on. So, this is another great feature here, the directory. Now, we all remember the days where we got the little paper bulletin-like pieces of everyone printed out in the directory of everyone in the church, where they live, who's in the household, and how to contact them. Well, obviously in 2022, there's a little bit more of an efficient way to do that, especially with paper costs so high. We're going to do this all on the web. So we're going to go to connect and go to members. So right here, again, this is a great function that you will not get with any other church, with any other website builder function, is you have the ability to have a directory right here on your website built into what your other church management software. So again, this is all pulled from Church360 members. And then let's see, all right, so now the Henrys are here. So I'm gonna click them. We spent some time with Henrys yesterday. We can see this is the whole household, right? Everyone has their phone numbers and emails listed. We have James and Rosa, and we have the family's address. Now, if I wanna edit the household here, I'll click that, and I can change the family's name, which you probably won't have to do often. You can change the address, whether or not that's public or private, phone numbers, again, whether or not everyone can see them, and email addresses for the whole family, and then the members. If you wanted to update the household, you could click that, and then any changes would be saved to your page. So again, this is a great way to create that interconnectivity with members within your congregation. If they know that they need to talk to James about a Luke and Acts Bible study that he's a leader of, they can go straight here and send him a text or use his church extension number if he's faculty in order to learn more about what the church has going on. So let's see here. Other notes. I've mentioned that it integrates with Church360 members. And if you go in here, just like editing the household, we can edit the profiles. And again, what's really nice here is that people can update their own profile. So right here, we have James Henry, and we're going to pretend I'm James Henry right now. Smile like that, I wish I was. I can go in and change all of the information, my cell, work phone number, emails, and let's say, not James Henry, but if Rosa was not last name Henry, when she got married to James Henry, she would be able to change her name very easily with her new Henry last name. So, and then we can also see what groups is James Henry part of. And I don't think he's a member of any groups, as we see here. And we can see any activity that he's going through. And this is all accessible through the site. And this is what's really neat, is that we didn't have to program any of this. So much of this functionality is built off of presets that we've already done for you, just utilizing the content that you put in. And then it starts speaking to the rest of the site and making such a smart interface that creates so much value for you and your members. So the last thing I want to show you is emailing. The whole purpose of making your website a communication hub is to communicate your information to members as well as visitors or seekers of God's word. And if you're like me, you want to be able to send people information quickly and easily, but keeping it organized based on who's relevant to that conversation, and making sure that we have data on all that going back and forth. And I don't know any website builder that has a built-in communication tool quite like this. So if we click on our users tab, then we go to mailing list here, you can see different mailing lists that we've created in order to communicate with our different members. So if we click this, we'd be able to send an email to everyone in the digitized study group. Bible study Thursday night, we have people that have been added both independently of that group, as well as you can have groups that then all can have, so the groups can be added just as much as individuals. So down here we see hospital visits. Kent Williams needs to be aware of that, as well as the Board of Elders. So again, you can add an individual and groups adjacently to a mailing list. Very, very intuitive, very easy to use. And then once you've selected who you want to contact, you just check that box, hit email, and then it'll connect with whatever native email tool. So for me, it's Outlook. It'll pull this up and allow you to start writing an email to everyone that's on that list, and it'll send it out automatically. Again, this is so easy to use and unlike any other option that's out there on the market. So again, if you have any questions about what we've talked about today or anything else, feel free to email me or Ken, or talk to our support staff with a trial or our software consultants. Again, we have a lot of people here that are all here to answer your questions and help you extend your your ministry to more people. So to wrap up, Communication and Connection Hub, as I said, there's so much that you can do in Church360 Unite, and this overview webinar just began to scratch the surface. You can provide your church with a professionally designed, easy to improve and maintain, and beneficial to your members and visitors website in just a few minutes. You can send someone out to get coffee for you, and by the time they get back, you can have a full website ready to rock and roll for you and your church. It will grow with you and your needs. You don't need anyone else to be updating this all the time, but as you see moments in your church where you see that you could serve more needs through your website, you can easily update it without having to bring on a developer or have anyone with special skills do this, because it's so easy to use. It can be done in-house and with members of your own congregation, volunteer, or faculty staff. You don't have to bring programmers in on this job. So to wrap it up, you don't have to know any code. I'll beat the drum with that again and again, because I've been in positions where I'm getting paid to do this, and I'm having to work with developers on complex designs, and it's so amazing to have an environment where you don't need anything like that at all. There is availability for coding if you have a staff or volunteer that knows how to code and wants to upgrade your site, through, HTML, but you don't need it to do anything we've shown you today or anything that's on the site. There's been no coding on this site at all. So we will be offering more of these webinar sessions as we continue to dig deeper into the software and we roll out new features. Both us on the marketing team as well as our support staff does webinars at a routine basis, as well as keep an eye out for our CTS Academy videos that should be coming out in the coming months. Thank you all again for attending. I look forward to seeing your church websites. Here's something we typically don't offer. If you're in the process of building one and would love my professional opinion, feel free to send me an email with the link, and I can give you my 2 cents on how to take it from a 7 or 8 to a 10. So if we can ever be of any assistance, please don't hesitate to connect me, Ken, or anyone else at Concordia Technology Service Solutions. And I'm going to send it over back to Ken to answer any questions that you have. Ken, back to you.
All right, Rob, I'm going to show my screen here. Screen too clean. All right. Thank you for that. And we do have a couple questions, but before we get into the questions though, I do want to recommend that if you kind of interested in what you're seeing here, do a free demo. There's a no obligation demo. You just go to 360unite.com and sign up for a free demo. You get 30 days to mess around with the website, how to build it, how to use different themes and different looks and things of that nature. So I would highly recommend doing that if you have any questions, you want to check it out. We also mentioned a couple other people that you can contact, our sales consultants, Dave Farnham and Steve Jenkins, and both of their contact information is there as well. You can also just reach out to our sales support team as well. They'll be able to help you. And again, Rob and I are here for you if there's anything that we can help answer. And there were a couple questions as we went along. Now, I had a couple just sent to me. One was, can you easily add media links? And yes, you can. And I'll show you that in just a second here. Another one, and I'm going to switch over, see if this works. I'm going to switch over to, okay, there is my demo page. Susan had a question is, can you sort by last name? And yes, you can. And here's a shot of my demo page where you can see the last names in your member section. What I love about the directory section is it is members only. So this is only for your members to sign in. The other thing that's great too is you can actually even type in a few letters, like we talked about the Henrys. If I just type in HEN, it automatically populates with Henry Hall or James Henry and the family members there. Another question, as well, I've got you here on my screen. The idea, can you easily add media? And for instance, my group, I love the group feature. I think one of the other questions was, is this more of a management tool? And I said it's really kind of a nice mix between members and a website builder, because I love having these private groups that you can have. And here's the church choir. Rob showed you some of this, but you can see that you can easily add in YouTube videos or your own media and videos of things like that. So that's kind of handy too. A couple other ones, can you sort by last name when adding members to groups? Susan, that's a good question. I'm going to say yes, but let's just check. We'll check that for you. Go ahead and we'll see if we can get you a firm answer on that. There's a lot of functionality that serves internal communications, but what does it look like to the person who comes across the site for the first time? Are certain functions hidden unless a user logs into the website? That is a fantastic question. Again, there are these member-only sites that are only for your members or the groups that you develop where you have to be invited into that group. But the bulk of the site is just like a regular website. There are the window dressing, as we talked about, that kind of shows the story of your church, rolls out, when your church's services are, the history of your church, what you believe, different things like that. So there are hidden sites and hidden pages that are just for your members or people who belong to certain groups. And that is really what makes this unique as well. It becomes the type of site that your members will want to stay engaged with as well. Too often when we build a site, we just kind of put it out there and we're done with it. But through the real syndicated systems, RSS feeds and things like that, when you upload a new sermon, you can have your members alerted to that. The ability to do the emails out of your website are just absolutely huge and very engaging with your members. The ability to have the private groups, again, I'm just showing my screen right here. And I wasn't planning on doing this, Rob, but there's a couple things I like to highlight as well. But I have a confirmation class. So I have the pastor's confirmation class, and you see here that I've got the table of contents, and I've got videos in here, and I'm able to download, where they can download the weekly videos or look at the weekly videos just off the page itself, the members, the events, the discussion board that you can have. All of these type of things really help to engage your members. And quite frankly, I've not found an easier website to work on. Rob, you were showing earlier the editing, and it really is a what you see is what you get type of editing software. And I love the fact that these are live. We practice these, but we do it live. So you get to see how easy it is and how sometimes if you make a little mistake, you can easily bounce back. But one of the things you can do is actually write your copy out in Word or whatever your preferred word processing software is, make your edits, route it around to people who need to approve it and things of this nature. And then you can copy and paste it into your web page as well. It's that easy. And then you can do all the formatting from the what you see is what you get. The groups, I brought that up. I love the complete personalization of the groups. The events, having those calendars there for your groups, for your altar guild, for your ushers, for your elders, everything like that, where they can go to their own group and see their calendar and when they need to be places and help serve. All of this, the whole key in all of this is saving you time so that you can do other ministries. And we just are really thankful to be able to share something like this. I'm going to now switch over to this again. So again, questions and answers, but at the end, I hope we have answered everything. But I also just want to say thank you. And real quick, I'm just going to go back through on a couple of these. I think we've answered most of these. If we haven't answered it to your satisfaction, or if you still have further questions as you watched this video at a different time, or as you think about it throughout the week and something pops up, you've got the information button at the bottom of the screen. You can always ask a question of us that way, or you have Rob's information or my information. We'd love to talk to you further about this, or perhaps connect you with David and Steven so that they can help consult and help you determine if this is the right software package for you. But that's all that I've got, Rob. We're just a little bit over time, and I just want to get and say thanks for joining us today. We look forward to doing more of these with you. As Rob said, we'll be doing another one coming soon on Ledger and another one on our Lutheran Service Builder. Plus, we often have ones on Unite, and the CTS Academy is going to be something great to be aware of. They're going to be little shorter nuggets of information for those specific topics or those specific ideas that you might have and want to learn from. And they're going to be a great addition to all the other training and support materials we have. So again, thank you so much. Blessings on your day. We really do appreciate your time. And if you have any questions, please get a hold of us. Thanks.